You're 19 years old, and the city is your canvas, every wall a blank page waiting for your signature. You live in a crumbling apartment building in a neighborhood the government forgot decades ago, where the elevators haven't worked since before you were born, and the stairwells smell like piss and desperation. Your room is barely big enough for a mattress on the floor and the hundreds of spray cans you've collected over the years, organized by color in a system only you understand. A rainbow of stolen potential stacked against walls covered in sketches that will never see daylight. Your mother works double shifts at a hospital cleaning bedpans and mopping floors, coming home with hands so raw from chemicals that she sleeps with them wrapped in plastic bags filled with lotion. A remedy that doesn't work, but that she keeps doing because hope is cheaper than medicine. Your father exists only in a photograph your mother keeps hidden in her drawer. A man who left before you could form memories of him, before you could understand that some people see children as anchors rather than reasons to stay. The neighborhood kids who grew up with you are either dead, in prison, or working the corners for crews that see them as disposable inventory. For the gallery owners in the rich part of town, art is champagne openings and six-figure price tags. For you, art is the only weapon you have against a world that decided you were worthless before you took your first breath. The first time you picked up a spray can, you were 12 years old and angry at everything. An older kid from your building showed you the basics, how to shake the can until the ball inside rattles like a heartbeat, how to keep your distance from the wall to avoid drips, how to move your arm in smooth arcs that turn chaos into control. Your first piece was garbage, a sloppy tag on a dumpster behind a grocery store. Letters that looked like a drunk spider had crawled through. Paint. But something happened when you stepped back and saw your name on that surface. Something that felt like existing for the first time, like the world finally had proof that you were real. You started practicing obsessively, filling notebooks with designs, studying the work of writers who came before you, learning the unwritten rules of a culture that operates in shadows. You discovered that graffiti has its own hierarchy, its own politics, its own legends who achieved immortality through paint and audacity. The walls became your education, teaching you color theory and composition and perspective better than any school you stopped attending. By 15, your tags were appearing all over the city, a signature that evolved from crude letters to a style so distinctive that other writers started recognizing it, started talking about the kid who painted like he had something to prove to God himself. The night you crossed the line from vandal to artist happened almost by accident. You were painting a simple piece on an abandoned factory wall when something took over, some force that moved your hand beyond conscious control. Hours passed like minutes, and when the sun came up, you stepped back to see what you'd created. It wasn't just letters anymore. It was a mural that seemed to breathe, a massive portrait of a child's face emerging from flames, eyes that held all the pain and hope of everyone who'd ever been told they didn't matter. You didn't plan it, didn't sketch it beforehand. It simply poured out of you like blood from a wound that had been waiting years to open. Someone photographed it before the city painted over it, and that photograph spread through the underground like wildfire, shared on forums and social media accounts dedicated to street art, analyzed by people who'd never set foot in a neighborhood like yours. They gave you a name, because you never signed your pieces with anything but a symbol, a broken crown that meant something only you understood. They called you Ghost, because you appeared and disappeared without anyone ever seeing your face, because your work showed up in impossible places that seemed to require supernatural abilities to reach. The name stuck, and Ghost became something larger than the hungry kid who started all this. Ghost became an idea that belonged to everyone who saw your work and felt less alone. The transition from local legend to international obsession happened faster than you could process. A tech billionaire bought one of your pieces, not the wall itself, but the photograph, the rights, the concept, for a sum that would have fed your neighborhood for a year. Suddenly, art magazines were writing about the mysterious Ghost, comparing you to Banksy and Basquiat, and every other name that sounds like money to people who collect art like trading cards. Your work started appearing in cities across the world, not because you traveled, but because others imitated your style, because Ghost became a franchise that anyone could claim. But then you did start traveling, using money from anonymous sales to fund expeditions that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. You painted the side of a building in Tokyo, scaling 20 floors using equipment you taught yourself to use from YouTube videos, working through the night while the city slept below. You left your mark on a bridge in Paris, on a tunnel in London, on a water tower in Los Angeles that required dodging security cameras and motion sensors like a video game you'd been training for your whole life. Each piece was more ambitious than the last, each location more impossible, each escape more miraculous. The media started calling you the most wanted graffiti artist in the world, and police departments from different countries began coordinating to catch someone they'd never seen, whose real name they didn't know, who existed only in paint fumes and security footage too grainy to identify. Your methodology evolved into something between art and military operation. You spend weeks researching each target, studying blueprints when you can find them, memorizing guard rotations, mapping escape routes that account for every possible failure. Your equipment has upgraded from stolen supermarket spray cans to professional-grade materials ordered through anonymous accounts and shipped to addresses that can't be traced to you. You've learned to pick locks, to disable alarms, to move through spaces designed to keep people out, as if they were designed to welcome you. Each piece requires a team now, not people who know your identity, but accomplices recruited through encrypted channels, specialists who handle logistics while you focus on the art itself. You pay them well because loyalty costs money and because anyone who could identify you becomes a liability the moment they're caught. The planning takes months, the execution takes hours, and the aftermath lasts forever, your work spreading across the internet. Within minutes of completion, analyzed and debated by millions of people who will never know your name. You've become a symbol for something larger than graffiti, a proof that the powerless can leave marks on a world designed to erase them, that beauty can exist in defiance of every law written by people who've never been hungry. The money changed everything except the hunger that started all this. You bought your mother a house in a neighborhood where the elevators work and the stairwells smell like nothing at all, telling her you got a job with a tech company that pays absurdly well for reasons she doesn't need to understand. She suspects something because mothers always suspect, but she's also tired in ways that go beyond physical exhaustion. Tired of questioning, tired of worrying, tired of fighting against a current that's been pushing her down since before you were born. You could stop now, could retire to anonymity with enough money to live comfortably forever, could let Ghost fade into legend while you become someone ordinary and safe. But stopping would mean admitting that all of this was just about money, just about escaping poverty, just about the same material aspirations that drive everyone else. The truth is more complicated and more embarrassing. You need to paint like other people need to breathe, like the pressure builds inside you until the only release is watching color explode across a surface that wasn't meant for color, claiming space in a world that told you no space was yours to claim. The fame has become a trap of its own design, each piece needing to be bigger and more dangerous than the last, each escape needing to be more miraculous, the audience expecting escalation, until the only possible finale is getting caught or getting killed. The job that will define everything takes shape over 6 months of planning, so detailed it fills 3 encrypted hard drives. The target is the most protected building in the world, a structure so covered in security that even approaching it seems suicidal. But you've studied every system, every protocol, every gap in coverage that exists because no security is perfect, because humans design systems and humans make mistakes. The piece you envision is your masterpiece, a mural that will cover an entire face of the building, visible to millions, impossible to ignore, a statement so loud that the world will have to listen. You assemble the largest team you've ever worked with, specialists in climbing and electronics and distraction. People who believe in what you represent even though they've never seen your face. The equipment alone costs more than some countries' art budgets, custom rigging and industrial-grade paint designed to withstand weather and removal. Every element engineered for a single night of perfect execution. You don't sleep for the final week, running simulations in your head, visualizing every movement, every brushstroke, every second of the narrow window when you'll be most vulnerable. The night before, you visit your mother and tell her you love her without explaining why the words feel heavier than usual. And she looks at you with eyes that know something is wrong, but don't know what questions to ask. The execution begins at 3 in the morning when the city is at its emptiest, and the guards are at their most complacent. Every element works exactly as planned for the first 2 hours. The team moving like a machine you designed. Diversions pulling attention where you need it pulled. Access points opening as if the building itself wanted your art on its skin. You reach the wall and begin painting, the spray cans feeling like extensions of your fingers, the design flowing from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. Hours pass in a trance state, where nothing exists except the next color, the next line, the next layer, building towards something you can feel, but not yet see. The sun begins to rise and the piece is almost complete. A massive image of hands breaking through chains, faces of people who look like everyone who was ever told they couldn't, colors that seem to glow with their own light. And then everything goes wrong at once. Alarms you didn't account for, guards appearing from positions that weren't in any blueprint, the sound of helicopters in the distance getting closer. Your team scatters according to protocol, every person for themselves once the operation is compromised. But you can't leave because the piece isn't finished, because walking away now would mean all of this was for nothing. The arrest is almost gentle compared to what you expected. Officers who seem more impressed than angry. Cameras everywhere documenting the moment Ghost finally becomes human. They take you to a facility where serious people ask serious questions and seem genuinely confused when you refuse to give your name, as if identity were something that could be extracted like a confession. The trial becomes a media circus that you watch. From behind glass, lawyers arguing about whether what you do is art or vandalism. Experts testifying about the cultural significance of work that authorities want to punish. The world divides into camps. Those who want you imprisoned as an example, and those who want you freed as a symbol. Your face finally known, but your story still belonging to whoever chooses to tell it. In the cell where you wait for a verdict, you have time to think about everything that brought you here. You see the 12-year-old who picked up his first spray can, angry at a world that ignored him. You see the walls that became your education, the nights that became your canvas, the cities that became your gallery. You see your mother's hands wrapped in plastic bags, your father's photograph hidden in a drawer. Every person who looked at your work and felt seen for the first time. The verdict comes, and it doesn't matter what it says because Ghost was never about one person. Ghost was about the idea that beauty doesn't need permission, that the voiceless can scream in color, that walls exist to be transformed by those brave enough to climb them. In another city, in another neighborhood the world forgot, a 12-year-old kid picks up a spray can for the first time, shakes it until the ball inside rattles like a heartbeat, and begins to write their name on a wall that was waiting for exactly this moment. The story continues because stories like this don't end with arrests or verdicts. They end when the last wall is painted over and the last kid stops dreaming. And that ending hasn't been written yet, might never be written. Because for every ghost they catch, another one is already climbing toward a canvas that doesn't know yet what it's about to become.